in the event which takes place, this means an exchange, a satsang, or a meditation retreat, or a course, or whatever it might be, it genuinely can be extraordinarily difficult, as with other things, to know how deep something is. With the power of the mindfulness, and it is a power, it's a great power in fact, and with enough power, with the silence and the equanimity, the directing of the mindfulness to the old experience, which is important for you, which you have a sense there is that honey to be squeezed out from it, that means more insight and understanding. The raising of the question requires from us enough inner quietude to stay steady, to listen deeply for the answer. An answer genuinely has a feeling tone which resonates well, and it's really clear. If an insight or an understanding from the past arises, there is some genuine sense, it doesn't have to be big, but it's extremely clear, yes. There is an affirmation from the being, something more has been understood that wasn't understood, and one has no doubt about it. But such experiences, when they are deep, these experiences are not dependent on the strength of the feeling, emotional intensity or impact at that time. It is not the confirmation of a deep experience. And one of the confirmations of the deep experience, whether it's intense and strong as I just described, or whether it's rather quiet, barely a thought, a short intention, the one confirmation of its authenticity in many cases is that it is a break with the past. It may not be felt. It's not that we have to rely on feeling and emotion and something strong. We may not feel it, but it rapidly can change us. Truth has its function in the field of existence to free up. When there is a freeing up of the being, some truth has touched. Maybe with words, or maybe without. And so the truth liberates, the truth sets us free. The break from the past, one of the important breaks, is the break from unhealthy, unsatisfactory, unnecessary, and unwanted habit patterns. This is a break. So we look at the condition of the being there. We recognize that this is a regular way of looking at myself there, or looking at life, or a situation. And when it has that kind of repetition to it, and if we wish to make a break with the past, it may be really important to recognize this pattern, to name it, to be clear about it, and to say, this practice which I'm engaged in is going to give extra mindfulness, extra care, extra exploration of this pattern until this pattern no longer has any grip over my life. Giving any attention to any difficult pattern, which one really wants to see the emptiness of, to use the Buddha's teachings here, of it, we're going to take a real interest in it, and we're going to see how is that affecting what I do, how is it affecting the voice, what I say, how is it affecting the thoughts that I have. And if we really take each one of those, body, speech and mind, to use the Buddha's word here, if we take each one of those, we can go much more subtle with it. So it might still influence the thought, but it's not going to speech. It might influence speech, but it's not going to what we do, bodily action there. And if we're really tracking in a subtle way, the thoughts, and after all, they are only thoughts, and if there is enough clarity, there'll be enough clarity to be able to say, honestly and sincerely, a thought is just a thought. The very tendency to determine that something is deep inside of oneself exaggerates its importance. It makes it more of a problem by saying it's really, really deep. It makes it harder to work with because of the strength of the view, and one really believes it. And sometimes one has to remember, deep it might be. If we use that language, that naming form, I prefer not to, but if we use that. But one thing for sure, it's nowhere near as deep as liberation. It is nowhere near as deep as awakening. It's nowhere near as deep as the realization of truth. Deep it might be, but it's never that deep. And sometimes the transcendent is understood. One had a habit, one had a pattern. It's not been good for you, it's not been good for the other there. And one has a knowledge, a knowing and an understanding, this pattern has finished. And when that habit and pattern, whatever it might be about, has finished, one has transcended the problem of it. One has gone beyond the problem of it. And this teaching of going beyond is not into some other fancy realm, not into some special state, as it were, disconnected. It is a going beyond the issue of the problem or the habit which has been disturbing one, and one's finished with it, one's gone beyond it.